Hello, my name is Rachel Claridge. I'm an international endurance rider and I've been competing in endurance riding for over 20 years. I'm a UKC accredited coach and I'm also a partner within Phoenix Field Arabian Stud. So, if you do want to go and enter for an Endurance GB competition, you would need to fill in the entry form either online through the website or through a paper copy and send it to the ride organiser, who about 2 to 5 days prior to the competition you'll be sent out an information pack which will have on there your rider number, the time that you're due to present your horse to the vet, and also your start time, which is normally between 20 to 30 minutes after your vetting time. It will also have within the pack a coloured map and sometimes a talk through as to the route that you're going to be riding. But on the coloured map it will actually have the routes that you're riding, the checkpoints, the water stewards or the road stewards, good places for your crew to park up and meet you en route. And also there'll be a list of volunteers who are helping on the day, the team of veterinary and farriers, and also the Rides and Rules sort of committee members, you can also access the risk assessment if you so wish, but also have things like whether there are loos on site or whether there's any water on site if you need to gain extra water and fill up your water buckets, or if there's a catering van, which usually is very key to anybody who does horsey events, because you'll be hanging around all day in soggy fields sometimes. And where there's a photographer as well, normally there's an official photographer there who can take pictures of you and your horses out en route. So that will arrive a couple of days before the competition. Usually the night before the event, I would load up my 4x4 with the water containers that I would need. Also slosh bottles, which are fabric conditioner bottles which have been washed out and filled with water, so that your crew can then hand them to you whilst you're riding around the route to cool your horse down. Also different marked up buckets, one with plain water, one with isotonic water and one with sugar beet water for the horses, because as they progress through the mileage, their taste buds will change. They'll also be expelling sort of salt, so it's sort of electrolyte replacement, so that they don't get tired or tie up either, sort of as a terrain conditions. I'd also have in the back of the 4x4 a box full of spare equipment, just in case a stirrup leather broke or something needed, like a hole punch if you needed something adjusting en route. I'd also have different types of rugs, so I'd have very lightweight fleeces or right down to sort of thick New Zealand rugs if it was absolutely pouring with rain, or just simply to have in the back of the car if the horse did get injured, or if I did get injured and we had to cease pull out from the competition at any point. So we had a full sort of first aid kit. So really it's orienteering stroke sort of scouts for horse riders, because also with my equipment, which we'll come on to later, I would have a bum bag which would have a first aid kit and things like that in it as well. So on the day of the competition I would recommend that you turn up to the venue half an hour before your designated vetting time, which will allow you time to find out where the loos are, where the catering van is, where the secretary's tent is, more importantly, and you would then hand into the ride secretary your MasterCard, which if you've become a member of Endurance GB you will be given, and that will then record your successful or your failure for that competition, hopefully your success, which will then go forward for your trophy points. And you will then be given a sticker by the ride organiser to then place, well, one on yourself, normally on your riding hat, or onto your saddle, so if you do become separated from your horse at any point, they can track you down. You can then be given extra copies of the map if you need them. But you will also pick up your rider number, which you'll then have to wear for the vetting and for the duration of the competition. And the checkpoint stewards can then obviously make sure that you're riding to the route that you're supposed to be. There will also be a notice board which will show any route changes, so you need to just make note of those. And the ride organiser will put any other information notes that you might need to be aware of. So once you've successfully collected all the bits of paperwork you need to have, You then need to take your horse out of the trailer, obviously, and just warm it up, just in walk, just leading it around the venue field so it gets used to seeing its environment that is going to be starting off from. This will actually help it to reduce its heart rate prior to going into the vetting, because the formal vetting will be looking at having low heart rates, particularly at the start of a competition, when the horse should be the most relaxed. So when you walk sort of across the venue field to where the vetting area is, there will be a compulsory farrier check as well, where the farrier will, if your horse is shod, obviously make sure that your horse is shod appropriately, and that the shoes will last the duration of the competition. So if it's 20 miles, they'll last the 20 miles. And if they need to do any emergency repairs, then they'll do so. You then successfully pass the farrier check. You then go into the veterinary check, where there will be normally sort of three to six vets stood assessing the horses at any one time. So you need to make sure your horse is very good within sort of small areas and standing still in particular. Most horses are presented at the beginning of an endurance ride in a bridle, just so that the handlers have got more control. And if the horses are a bit frisky, then you can obviously they're a bit more manageable. The horses will be then checked over by the vets and marked against a form which will also have been sent out to you prior to the competition, which is called a vet sheet. On the vet sheet, they will mark out the horse's heart rate, whether they're dehydrated before, any sort of cuts and lesions and grazes that the horse might have, so that they can then be monitored at the end of the event. The vet will then take a minute heart rate reading through a stethoscope to get the best and clearest heart rate. They'll be looking for a heart rate of under 64 beats per minute. Normally at the start of a competition, an endurance horse should have a resting heart rate of anywhere between 35 beats per minute to 44 beats per minute. Anything above that, it means the horse is just a bit more anxious. So it might be that it's its first competition, or it's a very blowy day, or there are just lots of things going on. So don't be too phased. I mean, so long as the horse's pulse rate is under 64 beats per minute, then the horse will be allowed to start the event. Once they've checked the horse's heart, the vet will then go on to look at the horse's eyes, around their mouth, around their nose, to just check for mucous membranes, and to make sure there's blood flow and everything is as pink as it should be. They'll then move on just to check the dehydration of the horse by doing a quick pinch test on the horse's shoulder. They will then, with the stethoscope, listen to the horse's gut sounds just to make sure that everything's flowing and gurgling away as it normally should be. And then they will run their hands all over the horse's body just to make sure there are no hot points or any sore points, that anything may go wrong throughout the course of competition, because the vets do have overall control as to whether your horse is passed or failed at any point of the event, which isn't a scary thing. It's a very good thing, actually. It gives the horse a mini MOT throughout the competition, and also throughout the season, so you can work in conjunction with the horse and the vet, because the vets really are there to become our friends and sort of be part of the bigger team. So once the vet is content that he's checked the horses over, he'll then ask the horses to be trotted up in hand in a straight line normally between two cones, to make sure that the horse is sound, and also just to note down any sort of funny sort of whether it rolls or things like that, so that it can be marked onto the vet sheet, so that another vet, if it isn't the same vet who sees the horse at the end, is aware that it might have a strange gait. And so the horse is then trotted up and back. It's then stood and just whilst the vet just does a final look over, and then you're allowed to ride out for the competition. So you then, once the vet has passed the horse, you've got up to half an hour to get the horse tacked up and ready to go to the start gate. You then ride out to the start gate, and on some competitions you're asked to give in a start card, but don't be phased if you're not given one of those. Just make sure that you've given your number to the starter, who will then write down when you start, and then they'll let you leave the competition.